The most terrifying part of episode 8 is not the wedding. It is not the secret. It is not even the backlash. The terrifying part is that every girl in Gilead already knows she is not allowed to say no. Agnes knows it. Daisy knows it. Hulda is about to learn it the hard way. Episode 8 is called Broken, and after everything the show has been building this season, that title suddenly feels less like a warning and more like a sentence already waiting for them. Because in Gilead, girls are not broken all at once. They are broken slowly, quietly, politely, one forced smile at a time, one silence at a time, one moment where fear becomes normal. And episode 8 looks like the moment all three girls finally understand the cost of surviving inside the system. By the end of episode 7, every storyline was already standing beside a trap. Agnes is standing beside a wedding she never wanted. Daisy is standing beside a secret that could destroy her. Hulda is standing beside a truth that may become dangerous the second she says it out loud. What makes this episode feel different is that none of these girls are free anymore. Earlier in the season, there was still movement. There were still choices. Agnes could resist in small ways. Daisy could still treat her mission like a role she stepped into temporarily. Hulda could still speak naturally before understanding how dangerous honesty really is. But now the walls are closing in around all of them. Episode 8 feels like the point where pretending may no longer be enough. Agnes may have the saddest storyline in the episode because her trap is being covered in flowers and ceremony. The synopsis says she gets swept up in wedding plans, and that phrase sounds gentle at first. It sounds beautiful. It sounds exciting. But in Gilead, wedding plans are not about love. They are about control. Every dress fitting, every polite conversation, every prayer spoken over Agnes becomes another step toward a future she already fears. The terrifying part is that the adults around her do not care that she is afraid. In fact, her fear may be exactly why they think the marriage is necessary. Commander Weston is not being introduced as a protector. The show has already made that clear. Agnes knows his reputation. Daisy knows his reputation. Even the audience knows his history of violence. Earlier in the season, Daisy literally read the file about him back in Toronto. The show did not include those details by accident. It wanted viewers to understand exactly what kind of man Weston is before Agnes ever became trapped beside him. That changes the entire feeling of these wedding scenes. This is not mystery anymore, this is dread. The audience already understands the danger long before the ceremony even begins. What makes Agnes's situation even more painful is how isolated she is becoming. Every time she tries to resist, the adults around her treat her resistance like bad behavior instead of fear. Paula especially seems less concerned about Agnes's safety and more concerned about forcing Agnes into obedience. That changes the emotional meaning of every scene. Agnes is not surrounded by people trying to protect her. She is surrounded by people trying to shape her into someone easier to control. That is why the wedding storyline feels so dark even before anything physically happens. The breaking has already started, and this is where the writing in the show becomes incredibly smart. Gilead almost never presents violence honestly. It hides violence behind beautiful language. The system uses words like duty, blessing, future, honor, and obedience to make control sound holy. That is why viewers should pay attention to the language people use around Agnes in episode 8. The exact words matter. Gilead survives by making terrible things sound righteous. If Agnes cries, they will call it nervousness. If she hesitates, they will call it immaturity. If she fears Weston, they will call it rebellion. The system changes the meaning of her emotions until she starts questioning herself. That may be the real meaning behind the episode title Broken. It may not be about physical destruction at all. It may be about emotional surrender. Gilead does not just want obedience from girls like Agnes. It wants agreement. It wants her to smile during the wedding plans. It wants her to lower her eyes politely. It wants her to perform gratitude while her future is being decided for her. The performance matters because the performance protects the system. As long as girls look calm, Gilead can pretend nothing cruel is happening. And Agnes understands more than people think she does. That is what makes her storyline so painful. She already knows enough to fear the future waiting for her. She knows Weston's wife is dead. She knows whispers follow his name. She knows marriage to him will not mean safety. Yet everyone around her expects her to stand still and accept it. That emotional pressure may become worse than the wedding itself. Imagine being trapped in a room where every single person expects you to pretend your nightmare is a blessing. That is Agnes's reality now. The most heartbreaking part is that Agnes is slowly learning survival. Inside Gilead depends on performance, not truth, not justice. Performance. She has to perform calmness even when terrified. She has to perform respect even when disgusted. She has to perform obedience even when every instinct inside her is screaming to run away. Episode 8 may finally force Agnes to understand that surviving in Gilead sometimes means hiding the most honest parts of yourself. At the same time, Daisy's storyline is becoming dangerous in a completely different way. Agnes can see her cage clearly. Daisy cannot afford to admit hers exists at all. The synopsis says Daisy hides a life-altering secret, and those words immediately stand out because the show could have simply said, dangerous secret. But life-altering sounds much bigger. It sounds personal, permanent, something that changes how Daisy sees herself and her future inside Gilead. There are several possibilities here, and all of them are terrifying. The first possibility is that Weston already suspects her after the radio incident. That scene in episode 7 felt deeply uncomfortable for a reason. Daisy survived the conversation, but survival is not the same thing as safety. Weston may already know more than he revealed. That creates an exhausting psychological game for Daisy moving forward. She cannot relax for even a second. Every expression matters. Every sentence matters. Every reaction matters. She has to keep acting normal while wondering if the person across from her already knows the truth. That kind of fear destroys people slowly. Daisy cannot panic openly. She cannot cry openly. She cannot even look shocked at the wrong moment. The smallest mistake could expose her, and the longer she stays inside Gilead pretending to belong there, the more dangerous the performance becomes. Earlier in the season, her mission probably felt temporary. Now it feels like Gilead may be trying to pull her permanently into the role she's pretending to play. But there may be something even bigger happening beneath the surface. The show has quietly planted questions about Daisy's identity all season long. Questions about her past, questions about why she matters, questions about where she truly belongs. Book-aware viewers already understand identity is one of the biggest themes in this story, but even staying completely show-safe, the series has clearly been building towards some kind of emotional revelation for Daisy. If episode 8 finally gives her new information about herself, that would absolutely fit the phrase life-altering. Then there is the third possibility, and honestly, this may be the most frightening one. Daisy's secret may be connected to her body. Earlier in the season, Rita asked Daisy if she was fruitful. That scene seemed small at first, but looking back now, it feels incredibly important. Gilead treats fertility like social value. A girl's body immediately becomes public business the second the system notices it. We already saw that happen with Hulda after her period became known at school. Suddenly, adults started preparing her future for her. Suddenly, people began looking at her differently. Suddenly, her body stopped belonging only to her. That means Daisy may be heading toward the exact same nightmare. If Gilead begins seeing her as valuable because of fertility or marriage potential, then her mission changes completely. She entered the country pretending to belong for survival purposes. But what happens when Gilead decides it wants her to stay permanently? What happens when the disguise stops being temporary? That possibility changes everything. And what makes Daisy's storyline emotionally powerful is that her breaking point looks different from Agnes. Agnes is being forced into submission openly. Daisy is being forced into submission psychologically. She chose to enter Gilead as a spy, but choosing the disguise does not protect her from becoming trapped inside it. The longer she pretends, the harder it becomes to separate the role from reality. That is why episode 8 feels so dangerous for Daisy. The system may finally begin closing around her in ways she cannot escape easily anymore.